everyone, welcome back or welcome to the 30-day wellness journey. We are on day 22. I am so proud of you. 22 days, you have done it. Day 22 is all about fear. Fear is the number one thing that prevents us from being successful with our goals. We soak in fear, and fear says, oh, you don't have enough time, you started too late, or it's not really meant for you. And what happens with fear is it triggers this part in our brain that makes us think we're dying. And unfortunately, the brain does not know the difference between a perceived fear, a perceived threat, and an actual threat. It thinks that both are life-threatening. So if you needed to public speak or show up on social media or start that business and you start to feel that fear in the body, the brain is going to tell you, you are going to die. Do not engage, abort, get out. Because the brain does not know the difference between a perceived fear and a real fear. So there's two types of fear. There's actual fear, and fear is when we are in near-death experiences, we have the potential of dying. So this could be violence, car accidents, near-death experiencing, witnessing violence. All of that triggers fear because it puts your life at risk. What happens is we have this thing called perceived fear, and it's really scary, such as a new interview, asking for a raise, getting a promotion, having a difficult conversation, putting ourselves out there, starting that YouTube channel. Our brain thinks, ooh, that's really scary because we have that same nervous energy. And that same nervous energy is actually triggering this part of the brain. It's really fascinating, and I won't get too science, but it's triggering the part of the brain that's called the amygdala. And the amygdala is the brain's smoke detector. And when that gets triggered, the brain says, nope, smoke detector, danger, danger, danger. This is not safe. Get out of town. And what happens is now the body shuts down because it believes that it's in a near-death experience of fear. So the next time you're experiencing fear, remind your brain and say, this is a perceived fear. I'm not in actual danger. It just perceives to be we're in danger, but I'm not going to die. No one has died from an interview. No one has died from starting a YouTube channel. And you might say in the comments, well, there was this one time this one person did this and it ended up in a death. Yes, there's always an exception to the rule, but more than not, you will not die from those scary events. And what happens is we're so afraid, right, that fear takes over. And when the fear takes over, it actually shuts down this part of the brain. And this part of the brain is our prefrontal cortex. This is the part of the brain that is thinking, judgment, and is this a good idea or a bad idea? This is also the first part of the brain that goes offline when we start to drink, which is why they say don't drink and drive, because the brain's perception of, is the stop sign 50 feet ahead of me or 100 feet ahead of me, because this part of the brain is offline. When we are experiencing fear, this same part of our brain goes offline. So how we re-engage the brain is by thinking. And an easy way to think is doing Sudoku, crossword puzzles, word search, counting numbers, multiplication. All of those are ways to bring your brain back online. So if you're experiencing fear and it feels really debilitating, let's say, for example, you want to start that YouTube channel, you want to start that business, you want to start posting on social media, or you just want to have a difficult conversation with a family or friend, and you start to create that courage and the brain's like, nope, we're not doing it, freeze. Or maybe runs away, or fear. What you get to do is bring the brain back online. You can get like a crossword puzzle or Sudoku and tell yourself, brain, I know you're trying to keep me safe. This is a perceived fear, not a real fear. We're not in danger. Therefore, it is safe for us to engage in that activity. Again, perceived fear is not going to kill you. Real fear will. If you're hiking in the woods and you hear some psh, 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 you don't have time to decide, is that a bear, a bunny, another hiker, or just wind? Your brain needs to keep you safe. Therefore, your brain is going to act and not respond. What happens, just like we mentioned with the triggers, is our brain reacts instead of responding, even though we're not in danger. So we got to wake up the brain to tell ourselves we're not in danger, and it is safe for us to do those activities. What helps us expand our fear tolerance is taking risks, getting outside of our comfort zone. Maybe this has been a risk for you, following up the 30-day wellness journey. Today's reflective question is, what risk have you been avoiding? Is it starting that YouTube channel? Is it having that difficult conversation? Is it starting that business? Or is it just putting yourself out there? So your reflective question is, what risk have you been avoiding? And risks are so challenging. That's why we call it a risk. The more risks we can take, the safer it feels to jump into that fear. For example, when you're a little kid and you jump into the cold pool because you have no idea what's below you, and then you do it again, and you're like, wait a minute, I've done this before. It's not as scary. Maybe this time I can jump in, or I can go in the deep end because I know what to expect. The same thing with fear. The more we practice taking risks, the easier it is for us to do. Your inspired action is to take a risk today. I believe in you. I know you can take this risk. It's gonna be scary, but we can feel the fear and do it anyways, because we know the fear is not real. It's a perceived fear, not a real fear. I'd love to know in the comment section below, what is a risk that you've been avoiding, and what kind of risk do you want to take today? It can be as simple as eating a different type of meal, or when you go out to dinner, ordering something different. Risk can come in all shapes and sizes, so don't be limited to thinking, oh, I've got to take a financial risk or a big milestone risk. It can be simply as if you only wear colors black and gray and navy, that maybe tomorrow you're gonna wear pink, orange, or purple. Taking those risks get to expand our brain and expand our fear tolerance so we can go after our goals and our dreams. You did amazing today, day 22. I'm so proud of you, and I will see you in tomorrow's video.